Kazukan Kazakita Dreng Barazi. My respects and appreciation for everyone who commented under my video about games for true dwarves. And many of you left suggestions about the games that should have been on that list. It took some time, but I've tried them, and now I'm ready to share some ideas about more games for true dwarves. By the way, I am Not-a-witchr if you're here for the first time, and even if you're not. Let's start with the game that was mentioned by most of the comments. And the only reason for not including it in the first list was that I thought only about classical fantasy dwarves. Imagine if Starship Troopers, Minecraft, and Warhammer had a baby. The beard on that baby would be Deep Rock Galactic. The game is set in space, so you play as a space dwarf. You and your mates, a small fellowship if I may say so, are sent to distant asteroids for mining precious materials. And of course, these frontiers are infested with alien bugs. So you kill them, you outmaneuver them, or simply avoid them and finish your mission, after which you return to the space rig. It is your home base, and it is an ultimate mix of your favorite bar, garage, and arcade where you hang out with your mates between the missions. In an unlikely case that you've never played Deep Rock Galactic, you don't have to rely just on my opinion. The game has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam and is recommended to play for any dwarf lover. Now, this one was mentioned almost as often as the previous game, and they basically compete for the first place. But of course, it's not a chart, it's a list, but they would have both be number one. Dwarf Fortress is not just a game, it is a world simulation. You play as a kind of an overseer of a dwarven society, and you build, craft, tend to the needs of your citizens, and watch how history unfolds itself. It is not for the casual players, I would say, because for your colony to survive for a long time, you have a lot to learn, and it probably would take several tries and failures. But when you got the gist of it, you will be swept away by the complexity of the game and deep stories of the individual dwarfs, each of whom has their own character, personality, and fate. Even the cats here have specific characters and personalities, like she lacks confidence in her abilities, or she has a tendency toward forming deep emotional bonds with others. What a complex game system! And that is not including the adventure mode that I haven't even tried yet. So it is a game for all who appreciate dwarfs and also like deep strategy and hard thinking. You might be surprised, why am I talking about a more than 20-year-old game, when there are two following installments in the series that are really good, and Age of Wonders 4 continues to release new DLCs to this day. But hear me out. If we talk about Age of Wonders game series, the latest games are really great and I would recommend them to any turn-based strategy fan. But if we talk about the old-school dwarven culture, then the Age of Wonders 3 and 4 are not as pure and classical as Age of Wonders Shadow Magic. What I mean is, if you mix your dwarven race with different leader classes of the third game, or different cultures of the fourth game, these dwarves will be dwarves in name only. But in Shadow Magic, they are just as they are meant to be, slow and sturdy, bearded cave dwellers from classic fantasy. The game was unfortunately overshadowed by Heroes of Might and Magic, but it has its own unique brand of tactical turn-based combat and Empire expansion. And the music is just magical. Have you ever wished that there was a game like Diablo, but in the old world of Warhammer Fantasy? Then you probably know about Warhammer Chaosbane already. If not, it is a simple but addictive hack-and-slash game where you kill hordes of monsters to gain loot and get even better in killing monsters. The game has not one, but two dwarven heroes to play as: Bragi Axe-Biter, a fearless slayer, and Kila Gunnarsdottir, a fearless engineer and a rare occurrence in the Warhammer world, because dwarven women there very rarely seek the life of an adventurer. The game may not be the Diablo killer, but if you're a fan of all things Warhammer, you should at least try it to make your own opinion. Craft the World is a colony builder strategy game with a side-scrolling, kind of platformer-like camera. The visual style is light-hearted and cartoonish, but the gameplay is not as simple as it may seem at first glance. You give orders to your dwarfs and they dig holes, gather resources and defend their home against monsters, who are especially active at night. You craft ladders, doors, furniture and even weapons and armor for each dwarf, and it is only the beginning of the technology tree. Although your dwarfs look more like the fairy tale kind, especially their women, the game got the spirit of a dwarven society right. Hammerting is also a colony building simulator with a side view, where your dwarfs do all the work while you only do the planning, but it has more darker style and aesthetics, cause it's all underground, unlike the previous game in this list. The surface here is populated with other races, and you choose which of them you trade with, and the game even kinda lets you influence the above grounds events indirectly, but the main stuff is going on in your undermountain halls. Hammerting has a level-up progression system for each dwarf and some other interesting ideas, but unfortunately the game was not quite finished by the developers, so most of the Steam reviews recommend buying it on a discount. Another treat for the Warhammer Fantasy fans, Return of Reckoning. When the official servers of Warhammer Online: The Age of Reckoning were shut down after 5 years since launch, the game was saved by a group of enthusiasts that created their own server. And the game still receives regular updates even after more than 10 years and has a loyal fanbase. Return of Reckoning is an old-school MMO with focus on PvP activities between two realms, Order and Destruction. And the best race to play for all who watch this video is, of course, Dawi, who can choose from 4 unique careers: Ironbreaker, Rune Priest, Slayer, and Engineer. There's a lot of quests to level up before you get to the main part of the game, realm versus realm zones, where the big-scale battles are taking place. If you like MMORPGs with a lot of PvP, this is a game for you. A Game of Dwarfs was released in 2012, and it is obvious where the idea of the name comes from. But the actual gameplay is heavily inspired by Dwarf Fortress, which could be said about most strategy games in this list actually. In this game you have a dwarven king from the very beginning, and now when I think about it, why it's the only game here that has a form of government? Did other dwarves invent democracy already? There is also a class system, and each dwarf can be a digger, crafter, worker, military or scholar, while in other games everybody does what needs to be done at the moment, kinda like when you start a small business. Anyway, the building and colony simulation in 3D is quite fun, so if you don't mind dated graphics, check out this Game of Dwarfs. Beneath the Mountain. Now this game, while being a strategy, is more focused on war. The very idea here is to reach the heart of the mountain before the waves of orcs destroy you. You dig your earth blocks, build your buildings, and ready your troops to repel attacks of various monsters, after which they go to heal themselves to the tavern. I mean, where else would they get better after a fight? And then you expand your territory and the cycle repeats with some variations. Then you dig down and down, prepare your troops and fight some more. The usual lifestyle of a true dwarf. The game is kinda dark in those areas where your engineers haven't built any light sources yet, but that is to be expected when you live beneath the mountain. It's dark there. Honorary mention goes to the game First Dwarf, which is still in early access, but already looks like an amazing mix of crafting, base building, exploring and action-adventure. Another honorary mention, World of Warcraft, because it has some cool dwarven lore in both classic WoW and the War Within expansion. But World of Warcraft is already one of the most commonly known games in the world, so I will not go into detail of what it is. Well, Barazi, that were some games that make you feel like a dwarf. Check out my original video if you haven't. Thank you for watching this. Consider subscribing to my channel. I'm still Not-a-witchr, and as always, take care and farewell.